I had no idea when I posted my video essay on West Side Story that new promotional photos from Steven Spielberg's adaptation were about to drop. But here we are, back at it. Hi everyone, it's Lady Genevieve. If you watched my video essay on West Side Story, then you should know a few things about me already. I love the musical, I love the 1961 film, and I am very interested in watching this new adaptation by Steven Spielberg. So imagine my surprise and giddiness when I went on Twitter this morning only to find that new promotional photos have dropped. Promotional photos might not seem terribly exciting on their own, but considering that we have yet to get a new trailer, I have every right to be excited, so don't rain on my parade. Now, these photos are being officially released through Vanity Fair, so I am going to link that article in my description box, so just in case somebody from Vanity Fair happens to watch this video because you are cooped up in your apartment and you're not allowed to go outside and you have nothing better to do than to watch this video, don't sue me. In this video, I'm going to talk about the photos as well as some of the things that I found particularly interesting that were in the article itself. Here we go. First photo. Here we see Steven Spielberg with Rita Moreno, and one of the things I didn't realize that I learned from reading this article was that he made Rita an executive producer on the film. The article mentioned the ironic issue of the first film, aka putting white actors in brownface while telling a story that intelligently addresses racism. Honestly, the mental gymnastics that studio executives will do to try to justify being exclusionary is truly baffling. When we talk about representation in media, sometimes the question will arise about how a person coming from a place of privilege can do justice in telling stories about disenfranchised groups, and I think that all of the same solutions come up time and time again. Not only do you have to do your due diligence with doing research, but you also have to consult with people who are from that group, and also, most importantly, and probably least frequently mentioned, cut the check. So I'm very happy to hear that Rita was made an executive producer on the film because she's getting the money and power that she deserves. There's also a really funny quote from the article that was talking about some of the things that she was getting up to on set as a producer. For one scene in which the cops arrived to break up a rumble, Moreno thought that the dancers playing the sharks didn't quite appreciate how much worse the situation would be for the Puerto Rican boys. I was using bad language and all that, and I said, "You are fucked. You are fucked if they catch you. You don't have a chance," she says. And they're all looking at me with big, beautiful brown eyes. I said, "Talk to each other before you do the scene again. Scare each other." In life, it's important to have empathy for others. And in this situation, I think it's very important that we have empathy for these actors. Nothing in any of their careers is ever going to top being yelled at by Rita Moreno. Really think about that. They got paid to show up to set and get yelled at by Rita Moreno. See, this is how I know that I have made all of the wrong choices in my life, because Rita Moreno has never yelled at me. I first saw this photo of Rita as her character Valentina on Twitter before I actually got to read the article in full, and I immediately assumed upon seeing it that her character was going to be like Doc. I didn't talk about Doc in my video essay, but that was due to time constraints. That video was already getting long, and I didn't want to be overwhelming to an audience that is not ready to hear me ramble. But Doc is essentially the voice of reason in the story, and he's completely done with the ignorance of the people around him, whether it's the Jets and Sharks fighting each other, or Lieutenant Schrank being the absolute worst.
It wouldn't give me a mouth like his.
As it turns out, Rita's character is supposed to be Doc's widow in this adaptation, and I don't mind this deviation from the source material at all. Part of that reason is because I love her, and I just love the fact that she's in it, but also it's a nice way of paying homage to an essential part of the musical's history, which is the 1961 film. And as well, this alteration is not going to fundamentally change anything that is essential to the meaning of the story and the themes being addressed in it. It was also really sweet to read in the article about how Rita was so encouraging to Ariana, who is playing Anita in this new adaptation. I think it's awesome that Steven Spielberg was insistent that Hispanic actors be cast to play the sharks and their girlfriends, but also the fact that he went a step further and cast an Afro-Latina to play Anita. When we talk about Latin representation in media, it's a lot of the same issues that come up time and time again, those being colorism and anti-blackness. It's nice to see that Steven Spielberg is not only aware of these issues, but that he's being proactive in ensuring that he doesn't repeat the same mistakes of the past. Now, this photo is very exciting, not just because it's so vibrant and full of movement, but because it's from America, which is my favorite song of the musical. This was exactly the right thing to release in this wave of promotional photos, because let me be very clear here when I say that America is the best song in the musical, and the dance at the gym is the best dance number in the musical. These are the two numbers that I'm going to be shaking with excitement to see when watching the film for the first time. And you better not tell me to be quiet when I watch this film for the first time, because if I get so excited that I want to yell, I should be allowed to yell. I was so excited to see this photo from the gym because I have been dying to know what color outfits they would be sectioning each group into. This is a staple of many Romeo and Juliet adaptations, to have the two opposing groups wearing different colors, and part of why West Side Story is so brilliant is that they took that thematic concept and expanded it to apply to skin color because of what the story is about. You've heard of a color story? Well, here, the color is the story. We are now approaching our final destination. As we all know, the lead couple of West Side Story is Maria and Tony. Tony is Romeo, and Maria is Juliet. I said before that I was quite intrigued by this casting. Now, when I wrote my other video essay and when I filmed that video essay, it was quite a while ago. I mean, I filmed it in February. That video was in the works for a while. So at the time of me making that, I had not really seen anything to give me an idea of what Ansel Elgort's musical abilities were. Since I've made that video, I've now looked up a couple of clips of him singing, and more importantly, him singing live, because we all know that you can get a little help if it's recorded in a studio and worked on. At this point, I want to know if Ansel can keep up with Rachel. Now, I know some of you might think it's weird for me to say that because she's the debutante in feature film work. I know that. But this is a musical. So as far as I'm concerned, this is her turf, and I would like to know if he can keep up with her. No tea, no shade. It's just a question. At the very least, we can see the shots are teasing at the chemistry between the two. I'm intrigued by the stylistic choice to have them dancing behind the bleachers. The 1961 film went for a more surreal, dreamlike interpretation of their first meeting and their first dance. I'm not saying that I prefer one style over another. It's apples and oranges as far as I'm concerned, and I'm looking for any scraps of information to think about before a trailer drops and I can get a larger sense of how the film is going to be before seeing it in its entirety. But there is one final point we need to address with these promo shots. No, not that one. She's wearing the dress! She's wearing the dress! This is not a drill. I need everyone on this block to wake up because Rachel Zegler is wearing the dress. Listen, I am perfectly fine with this film creating its own aesthetic. You can't just go and copy everything the 1961 film did, because then that would be defeating the purpose. You have to be the best you, and that's not just a concept that applies to self-love, that applies to art as well. They're choosing new color palettes for key costumes, and that's totally fine. Work. But this right here is a callback I am here for. It is no longer a dress for praying. It is a dress for dancing. This is a dress that makes a statement. We have seen time and time again that white is a color that is used in storytelling to represent things like purity and innocence and naivete. But note the very important accent of the red belt. And what color is Maria wearing at the end of the 1961 film? red. Symbolism. How much do you want to bet that Rachel Zegler is not going to be wearing white at the end of the film? Or we could do a full circle thing where she is wearing white, but it gets splattered and stained with red. Is that too dark? Should I cut that out? No, you know what? I'm not cutting it out because I already checked the box that indicates that my channel and my videos are not made for children. So I stand by what I said. Colors are emotions and colors tell a story. And I'm ready to watch this story right now. In case you missed it, go watch my video essay on West Side Story. Rachel Zegler herself left a really sweet comment on it. That was really nice of her. She did not have to do that. It was not a short video, and I was very long-winded in it. But you know what? If it's good enough for Rachel Zegler, then it's probably good enough for the rest of you too. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Vero to keep up with more of my running commentary on the various works of fiction that I consume, and subscribe for new reviews and essays that are on the way. But just watch. I'm gonna get some momentum going on whatever my next longer review is going to be, and right when I think, all right, now we're really getting into it, they're gonna drop the trailer. They're gonna drop the trailer, and then I'm gonna have to drop what I'm doing and talk about that instead. And I'm totally fine with that. Honestly, I won't even be mad. See you in the next one. Bye. Can we not? Can we not do this? I shouldn't yell. I mean, it's cool that garbage men are still doing their work while the rest of us are meant to not go outside. This is her turf, so I would like to know if he can keep up with her. No tea, no shade. It's just a question. I shouldn't say that. This is a bad idea to keep that line in. I don't know why I kept that in. I should have cut that line. Apparently I want all the Ansel Elgort stands to come after me because they're gonna think that I'm being serious.